life, it's fragile, and in the blink of an eye,
You never know.
you never know.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy, Heaven Hollywood. We are back on the IE Network, and this is the Heaven Hollywood Report. Special Heaven Hollywood Report. And let's get to it. First of all, first and foremost, before I get emotional, start getting choked up and everything else, I want to send out a rest in power and condolences to the family of Malcolm-Jamal Warner. This one hurts, y'all. This one hurts. When you're growing up and you you grab something on TV that you resonate with. He was he's growing up in a black two-parent household. And right along the time that the Cosbys came along, we didn't have many positive figures on TV. It was always someone from a broken home, one parent, struggling, a maid, a butler, you know what I'm saying? And of course we had the Jeffersons, but he was kind of like, they used George Jefferson. There's still a lot of racism in that as well. Kind of used George Jefferson to kind of rub it in the face of white people. So it was a little different. Plus they didn't have they had they had two kids. No, they had one kid, right? Lionel was their kid, but he was older. But this was a family, a black family, right? A positive black family growing up. And so Theo was my brother when we was growing up. You know what I mean? And they always say you shouldn't meet your idols, right? But when you do meet them later on, and then you find out that they're even more perfect than you saw on TV or you can imagine, and you think to yourself like, wow, finally there's a star that I grew up idolizing. I'm going to say idolizing. I don't know idolizing stuff, but, admiring. And then there's a good dude on top of that, good person on top of that. And, what makes it so sad and tough is that he was one of the good guys in Hollywood, man. And when you see people walking around, not that I want to trade souls or what have you, but when you see people walking around, you see the position we're in today, and you see people walking around that, we won't mention any names, but are rumored to be on lists that involve PDF and people that seem to be trying to makes this world a worse place as opposed to someone who makes the world a better place, like Malcolm-Jamal Warner. And you see them gone, and then the other people that, that allegedly you've seen 2-3 attempts on their life, and they just seem to come out of it unscathed. And just every single day seem to be a negative on life. We won't mention their names. Seem to be a negative on life. Everything they do is negative. And they get up, walking around, cleaning the board of health. But someone like Malcolm-Jamal Warner gets taken from us. Now, let's get into the death of Malcolm-Jamal Warner. The New York Post ran an article, and I'm using this under fair use, and it always seems like right before one of these celebrities' deaths, and I think it seems like this in real life as well, they always have some sort of cryptic posts. Doesn't it seem like that? Like all the time. It happened with Prince. It happened with what was the one of the celebrities that passed away recently? They had a cryptic post up, and he just basically said, regardless of the situation, regardless of what you're going through, never forget to smile, right? When he was in his car on May 14th, he says, a beautiful day here in Atlanta. I just want to shout out and spread some love and good cheer. He had a flower in his ear because his daughter had given him the flower. It was her birthday. He's sitting in the car and he just said, just remember to smile no matter what's going on. There's always a reason to smile. And then one of the pictures, a lot of people say it looks like he was crying or had been crying. Now, I don't know whether that's true or not, but I haven't heard any rumors of anything he's been going on. You know, he was now in another show, The Resident. So he did a good job of reinventing himself after the Cosby Show. Remember, he also had Eddie and Malcolm, right? And then The Resident. Then he also had another show that he was on with Tracy Ellis Ross. So he did a good job of reinventing himself in Hollywood after the Cosby Show. He was on the Cosby Show for many years. He grew up on the Cosby Show, grew up as a Hollywood child, and he was one of the kids that was able to get through it. You never heard anything negative about him. Not many people had bad words about him, right? And it's just tough, man. It's a tough thing. In May, right? Shout out to Melissa Ford. The Hot and Bothered podcast seemed to be his last interview, right? And he said a few things on that podcast that we're going to get into, before we end this video. You're going to hear some of the things he spoke on legacy, and the ironic thing is that Melissa Ford brought up and not some other terms, but death. And she said, life is precious. You're here 1 minute and then you're going the next. He said, yeah, you never know. But this was just in May. And she said, thinking about that, what do you hope your legacy is? And we're going to get a chance here, but I just thought it was eerie and ironic that he spoke on that. And Melissa said, and Melissa had her brush with death. She shouldn't, well, I'm going to say she shouldn't be here, but she obviously is here for a reason. She had a near brush with death. Well, a lot of people said they don't know how she survived. So for her to say this was even more powerful. You're here one day, you're gone the next day. So we're going to let you check out those clips before the video's over. Shout out to Melissa Ford. Now, let's get to the truth behind the death. Good Samaritans tried to rescue Malcolm-Jamal Warner after he accidentally drowned, but it was too late. The Cosby Show actor died on Sunday, July 20th at age 54 while on vacation in Costa Rica with his family. Jesus. On vacation. And I would probably be willing to bet that they at one point was like, oh, should we go? Maybe we shouldn't. Or he went out and was like, should I go out there? I don't know, the coats are kind of high. But, yeah, I'll be all right. That's the irony of life. Costa Rican National Police told the Post that Warner was pulled from the water by people in the area and taken to shore where they desperately attempted to save his life. New details have now emerged about Warner's final moments with the JIA, the OIJ, sharing additional information. The victim appears to have entered the sea and was apparently swept away by a current. The man was rescued by bystanders and taken to shore, where he received treatment from the Costa Rican Red Cross. However, he was declared lifeless at the scene. So was he on a boat? Was he just walking? What? The actor's body was taken to the morgue at the San Joaquin de Flores for an autopsy, and the cause of his death was listed as asphyxiation, which is drowning, flooding of the lungs, by submersion. Warner played the beloved character Theo Huxtable, the son of Bill Cosby's Cliff Huxtable in the Cosby Show from 84 to 92. So I was 8 years growing up. Now, Bill Cosby has responded along with a lot of other celebrities. And I just want to say this. Malcolm-Jamal Warner, what I don't want to happen without any proof, without any evidence, is people now coming out with these conspiracy theories about what happened. Because we don't know what happened. Why wasn't there any lifeguards at the time? Where they said there's always lifeguards along those coasts. There were no lifeguards at the time. Now, since he's a celebrity, you're going to start hearing about sacrifice and blood sacrifice, and especially since he is somewhat connected to Eddie Griffin. Now, Eddie Griffin, as we all know, is a huge conspiracy theorist. He's against Hollywood, and that little post that he made, watch out for that post. Because he said, he's saddened by the death of a brother that I went to war with in Hollywood and against Hollywood. Now, I've never heard Malcolm-Jamal Warner make any comments about Hollywood. But because of these comments by Eddie Griffin, who has just went from becoming an actor, comedian, to becoming a conspiracy theorist, and now all of his shows are filled with conspiracy theory jokes, a la Cat Williams, right? So watch for that little comment to come back, and then you're gonna hear somebody say him and Eddie was getting ready to expose something in Hollywood, or exposed the child PDF. Eddie had finally gotten to him, and they were working on a project that exposed child P in Hollywood. Watch what I tell you, because I'm already hearing whispers. Now, as far as a B sacrifice, some people may start to say, especially if she gets back in the line, like, oh, it was Tracy. These are going to be the names you hear: Tracy Ellis Ross. If Eddie Griffin happens to get back in and gets a big role, which I don't think he will, but if he happens to get it, or somebody offers him a major Netflix deal or something like that, they're going to say Eddie Griffin, right? So they're going to say Eddie Griffin, Tracy Ellis Ross, or if Morris Chestnut gets a big deal, remember he played with Morris Chestnut in The Resident, they could say Morris Chestnut. Now, his family, he kept very private. We don't even know what his wife looks like. At least I don't think I've ever seen his wife. Kept his wife and daughter very private and out of the public eye. But what it looks like here is just the wrong place, the wrong time, and the irony of this cruel, funny, weird thing called life. But I'm letting you know now, from what I've heard, Malcolm-Jamal Warner really had no beefs. There was nobody really against him. So you're going to start to see platforms try to profit off of this and say, oh, he was this, he was exposing Hollywood, he was upset at how Hollywood was treating this, and he was going to expose them, and Eddie Griffin was going to help him. It's going to come, because people just don't think of celebrities just passing away. They always think there's got to be something behind it. So, listen, man, as far as the dark arts and stuff go, who knows? whether someone didn't like him or someone put a hex on him or whatever. But as far as the other things about writing a book and stuff like that, we'll never. That's something that no one ever mentioned, and he wasn't close like that with Eddie Griffith because of the route that Eddie Griffith is taking, and Malcolm-Jamal Warner still had to work in Hollywood, so he couldn't really be seen doing that or being seen in that light that Eddie Griffith's seen in, because Malcolm-Jamal Warner was still working actively, even up to the time of his death. So I want to give a shout out to the icon Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Rest in paradise, my brother. Rest in paradise. You did well. You did well. It's your boy Heaven Hollywood for the IE Network. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with your friends.